Hello, everybody. Welcome to Community Connections. I'm Joe Cosentino, and I chair the Activities Committee. I am mic'd. I am absolutely mic'd. I can hear my voice reverberating around the room. So every month, we do one of these panels, and we alternate between staff 1 month and residents another month. So last month, if you were here, we interviewed all the social workers who work at Woodland Pond. And next month, we are interviewing all the activities staff who work at Woodland Pond. But in between months, we are interviewing residents, and we thought it would be fun to have the English Country Dance group of residents for you. First, they're going to perform a little bit, and then I will interview them and ask them some questions so you can get to know all their secrets. But before we start, I thought I would do an interpretive dance about the renovations here. They'll be better than me, I promise. So, yes, so Ken and Lindsay Morgan are the instructors, and they're going to start by talking a little bit, and then we will have a performance and then the interview. So I will throw it over to Ken.
Hello, so my name is Ken. This is my wife, Lindsay. We've been doing this sort of dancing for many, many, many years. June, who's also a long-term dancer and a resident here, Lindsay and I are not residents, thought that it would be fun to have a dance group here, within the confines of Woodland Pond. She organized this and asked us to do the teaching. So we meet every other Wednesday. So the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month. It's open to everyone. You don't need to bring a partner. You need to be able to walk. So that's basically it. And this style of dancing is very gentle on the body. So you might think this, well, you'll see it actually. English country dancing, as the name kind of indicates, is from England. It started in the 1600s, the early 1600s, as a courtly dance, as the dance that you would do at the, at the high courts, at the king and queen's residences. And it was done by, or it was taught by itinerant dance masters who would know the dances and go court to court teaching the dances and bring whatever the latest dance was to each court. In 1651, John Playford, who was a publisher, decided that he could gather 105 of these dances into a book. Now, 1600s, remember, books were just kind of starting to be available, and that you could actually do a commercial book, not a religious book, and make some money. And he decided that the dancing master, the book that he created with the first 105 published dances, would make him some money, and indeed it did. And it did something more than that. It allowed now the dances to move from the courts to the manors. You still had to be able to read, which was not all that common, but the gentry could read, and they could now do these dances without the itinerant dance master coming to each court, to each manor. They could read the book and do the dances. So this is the first time in which these dances became popularized. Not only did the dances become popularized for dancing purposes, but people started to think, well, I can add to 105. Why 105? Why not 120? Why not 150? Why not 200? And in more editions of the Dancing Master, there were 18 editions altogether. He created, or he put in, other dances. He was not a dance writer. He gathered these dances. And where did they come from? Often they came from shows. Just like opera required a ballet. It had nothing to do with the opera, but in the middle of an opera, you must have a ballet. It was part of the entertainment. Theater became similar. In the middle of a play, you needed to have a dance. What dancing? Our dancing, English country dancing. So the dances were created for theater. They were then, published in these Dancing Master and other books, other similar books, and became popular and quite well known. So Jane Austen, I'm sure you've seen some of the Jane Austen movies, right? That's the sort of dancing that Jane Austen did when she was young and she put into her books. And in all the movies, you'll see a scene or two in which they're dancing. And it's not just entertainment. It really is part of the fabric of the book because that was how young girls would meet young men. Young girls did not go to school with young men other than the people they would see, their brothers and the friends of their brothers at church, a very limited access to other people, to young men. Well, dancing was now an accepted way of meeting young men. And the dancing was created in the sense that it allows a lot of flirtation, it allows a lot of quiet time. When you're not actually dancing, you can talk. And actually, let me give you a couple of quotes from Jane Austen. These are from letters that she wrote to her sister, Cassandra. Remember, Jane Austen was at the kind of tail end of English country dancing because in the mid 1800s, something unthinkable happened. Culture changed, and you were now allowed to touch more than just hands with your partner, unmarried partner. Unthinkable. I mean, you could actually embrace and do, well, waltzing or polkas and all those other sorts of ballroom dances became so popular that they eclipsed English country dancing. So Jane Austen was at the tail end of the English country dancing saga, which started in the mid 1600s and went all the way to the early 1800s. That's a pretty good run. So here's Jane writing to her sister. In 1796, she writes, "You scold me so much in that nice long letter which I have just this moment received from you that I am almost afraid to tell you how my Irish friend and I behaved. Imagine to yourself everything most profligate and shocking in the way of dancing and sitting down together." I can expose myself, however, only once more because he leaves the country soon after next Friday, on which day we're going to have another dance. He is very gentlemanlike, good-looking, pleasant young man, I assure you. So this is the way to get seen, to get known, to dance with others, to chat, and actually sit and talk. All right. So the dance died away in the mid 1800s to be revived in England as a recreation in the early 1900s by Cecil Sharp. Do you have anything you can add about?
Presentation. I have actually a couple of Cecil Sharp's books here, his original publications promoting the dance and diagramming the dance and describing it. So afterwards you can come up and look at these.
So Cecil Sharp was an Englishman who decided that English country dance would be wonderful recreation for children. He went around to various villages, both in England and in America, to find out what dances were still being done, because in little villages, the dancing tradition would have perhaps have been maintained. He had access to the dancing master, to these books that were written in the mid 1600s, and he recreated the dances from that. Because after all, the language had changed, and there are things that were in the books as describing the dances that we really don't know what they mean. So, for example, there's a movement called siding, and the dance will say the partner's side. We don't know what siding is. So Cecil Sharp did something. He decided, well, siding is going to be, and created a movement for that, and that's what we do. So, should we do a dance?
Yeah.
Okay, so June and I are just going to show you what some of the figures. So let me explain what a dance is. An English country dance takes about 45 seconds. It's a set of or a suite of of about, I don't know, 5 or 6 figures. Many of the figures we use are very easy to understand. The right-hand turn, left-hand turn, two-hand turn, circle, so back to back. So many of our figures are very recognizable. And the point of the dances we do is to have this set, this suite of figures go seamlessly, one figure into the next figure, into the next figure, into the next figure. That's what makes the dancing fun, is when you can just kind of flow through the 45 seconds or a little bit more of the dance. And we're going to show you a couple of these little figures. Do you want to
Dance. Sure.
I'm a boy. Traditionally, it was man, woman, and I thought there might not be enough women, so I dressed for that.
So, right-hand turn. Basically, you're just going to take right hands, establish a pivot point, and turn. You can imagine left-hand turn, exactly the same thing, just going the other direction. Two-hand turn. So, back to back. Which would be a do-si-do in the vernacular of square dancing. So, steady. So here's something that doesn't have an easy step. It's not something that the name tells you what to do. So setting is to the right and left and right, and then left, right, and left. So you're going opposite the partner you're dancing with. So it's right, left, right, left, right, left. Turn single. So we did a right hand turn, we did a left hand turn, we did two-hand turn. How about a turn with no hands, and you're just going to do it by yourself, or a turn single. And it's just a little circle around yourself, bringing you right back to where you started. Now, that can get a little bit dizzying. So some of our dances will leave it out. I mean, it doesn't get you anywhere, it just takes you from there to there, right back to where you started. So if you leave it out, there's no harm done. And you'll see that when we do our dance that, some people might choose to leave out a turn single. It's not that they don't know it should be there, it's just that they don't want to do it. So in terms of the flow that I was talking about, June and I are going to do setting, turn single, two-hand turn. That's 3 figures flowing one into each other. So it's step, turn, single, two-hand turn. Very, very common combination. All right, what else?
Just those upper double siding and humming, and then we can do the dance.
Okay, we're going to pretend that once we're going to be with me.
I was gonna, yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, the music is there, so let's do up the double. Sorry. All right, so up a double is just 4 steps up and fall back. And we'll do that again. And now we'll face each other and we would stand and turn single. Siding is a double where we end just shoulder to shoulder. This is that move that I mentioned that Cecil Shaw didn't know what it really meant, and so this is what we do. When you say siding, that's what we do. And arming, again, who knows what arming really was? We take it as just hooking arms together, dancing together. That constitutes what we call a USA dance, an upper double, a siding, and an arming. In between each of those USA, there's a chorus. And
That's the dance we're
The
gonna do.
dance.
that's the dance we're gonna do. So why don't we get, come on in, guys. I'm gonna sit out. This dance is called Rusty
Who's the guy?
Tufty. I don't know what the name is.
You have the year of Rocky Pumpkin.
1651. So this is one of those early playful, what they call playful dances, the ones that were created within the context of John Playford's book, The Dancing Master. So I'm going to tell these folks what to do. They're going to practice it as I tell them.
Yeah.
So the important thing in this dance is to know who your partner is. So shake hands with your partner and your opposite, the person opposite you. All right. So with your partner, lead in a double and fall back and do that again. This is the you. Place your partner and we're going to do the chorus. It's set and turn single twice. Do that again. Now with your partner, lead out and turn, no, lead out of the set, right, away from them and lead back in and turn away from your from that person with your opposite lead out and lead back in and turn away. When you're doing your lead out and you know you're going to need to turn to lead back in, make the turn the end of the lead out. It makes life easier if you're already facing in when you want to come in. Okay, I'm going to play some of the music so you all can hear what the music sounds like, and then we'll do the dance.
You don't want us to dance the first time, right?
No, just hang on, please. I want to also check the speed. And I want to check the volume. I'm thinking that the hang on. There you go. Can you hear the music? Yeah. Well, that's a dance tune. Let me scroll in.
Tad slower.
Let me scroll in. Okay. So there'll be two notes, and then partners will lead in, fall back, lead in, fall back, face your partner, chorus. Okay, guys, we're ready to go. In a double, and fall back. Do it again. Place your partner, set and turn single cuts. Partners lead out, lead back in, and turn away. Opposites lead out. Lead back in, turn away. Partner side right. And left. Forward step and turn single cuts. Partners leading out and in. Turn away. Opposites. And then turn away. On right. Left. Chorus. Step and turn single. Leading out. Turn away. Opposites. And turn away. Lead in a double. And chorus. I'll push this lead out.
Thank you. Take a seat, please. Well, as I mentioned, Community Connections is about getting to know 1 month staff, the next month residents. So I have some questions for our residents here. And I'll ask you all the same questions so it's fair. We'll start with June Finer. And the first question is, what was your background prior to coming to Woodland Pond? And why did you come here?
Well, I was a doctor and I retired early, moved up to New Paltz. And
You need the mic, June.
yeah, moved up to New Paltz in 99. And I had by that time separated from my partner, bought him out, and then realized that the house was more than I can handle. And so when I heard about Woodland Pond in 2002, I put down $100 to show I was interested and came to all the luncheons and the meetings and the fuss about it. And then, later on committed and put down much more money and watched it being built from 2007 and moved in 2009. And for a little while, I was going down to the city every week for a couple of days to help with my grandchildren. But by, I guess about 16, 17, I got more active with stuff around here in the community, and I joined several committees. And I've been wanting to do English country dancing for years here, and we finally got it together to do it after all these years.
Very nice. Thank you, June. It's a little more expensive now than $100, just so you know.
That's the initial thing.
And my story about June is when we moved into our cottage, which is right where you start the nature walk, June took us on the nature walk all through the woods and the trees. Well, by the time we were done, my spouse Fred and I were, and June was like, come on, let's go. So June has a lot of energy. Let's go next to Marilyn Malou, the same question.
Well, I lived with my husband for 47 years in Williamsburg, Virginia, where he was an associate dean in the School of Business at William and Mary. And I taught for 32 years on 2 military bases near Williamsburg, Langley Air Force Base and Fort Eustis Army Base. I taught psychology courses. I used to laugh and say I got to teach all the psychology nobody wanted to learn, such as statistics and research design. Although, of course, I taught many, many courses. In 22, my daughter came down to visit us. She lives in Beacon, and she came to the conclusion that her father was getting very, very frail, and we needed to make a move to be closer to her. So she found Woodland Pond, and we moved Hank up here in October of 22 into the rehab section. And I was back and forth to Williamsburg to get the house ready to sell. And then we did sell it, and I moved in December of 22. On that previous November, on Thanksgiving Day, I'd gotten a call from Vassar Hospital that my husband had been transferred there because his heart monitor had gone off and he had contracted COVID. He did not die of COVID, but I think it made his body so weak that in February, the day after his grandson's 6th birthday, he passed away. So this is actually the week of the 3rd anniversary of my husband's death. And the way I've dealt with my grief is to get very, very busy here at Woodland Pond. After I retired from teaching, I gave myself what I call a retirement gift, and I went back to school to Hollins University, and in 1970, when I was 75, I got an MFA in children's book writing and illustrating. Unfortunately, about a month after I turned my thesis in, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which has affected my voice as well as my balance, which is why I started dancing, but the balance has become a real problem. And so I often come just to watch because I'm hoping someday I'll be able to get back into it. And that's where I am. I think the dancing is wonderful. And we have a lot of fun at it, and you can laugh at our mistakes. And it's just a fun thing to do.
Thank you, Marilyn. Now we have Marie Rosa.
Same question.
Same question.
My background is that I was a physical education, health education, and school counselor in the Board of Education in New York City. I studied a lot of different dances in college. It was like we had a strong dance program in the major. Also, I studied ballroom dancing later on with my husband, Mike, and we did showcases together. And what else? That's it?
Why'd you come here?
Actually, coming to Woodland Pond, it was the programs offered and proximity to Lutheran Care, where my husband was at the time. It was only 15 miles, and I could go there, more than 2 times a week. And once I saw what Woodland Pond was in that, and I did a little bit of going around and seeing some of the programs, I said, this is a good place for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Liz Spiegler is next.
Well, my background is education, but I ended up as an office manager for the New York State Office of Mental Health for about 30 years. I retired early and started to think about my future a couple of years ago. I've been here for about 2 years. And one day I was reading AARP magazine and I saw Jean Shatsky does some kind of financial thing there. And I wrote her a letter with no expectation of receiving a response saying, I don't have a lot of extended family and I need options for what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And she called me and actually set up a whole, we did a whole, the photographer came, the makeup people, she did this whole interview. And she wrote this whole article. And the end result was she did not have a good answer for me. And I knew about Woodland Pond by then. So I investigated that a little more. And in the end, I decided it would be, with all the options, maybe the best thing for me. So is there something else?
That's perfect. Thank you, Liz. Margot Elkin is next.
Well, my background is I was a mother, a social worker. I led an agency in White Plains. I loved music. I was I was widowed for over 25 years, and I was living alone at the end of a dead-end street. and it was beautiful, but extremely lonely. And during COVID, my friends were moving away or dying off. And there I was at the end of a dead end street. And I contacted a very friendly friend who you all know, Wayne, who I have known for 25 years. And he had just moved in here, and I came up to visit. My daughter and I came up to visit, and he introduced me to two other very friendly people. And I decided that I need three friendly friends. Little did I know that the whole place was friendly. And that was my main reason for moving here. And I'm quite satisfied.
That's great. You can keep the mic.
Okay.
Now you're all going to get another question
Oh,
that
dear.
you can each answer the same question. Why did you join this dance troupe? And what benefits do you get out of being in the troupe?
The answer is very simple. June is very persuasive.
Yeah, that's it.
I actually was interested in square dancing, which I had done in my 20s. I had done religiously every Monday night at Columbia University. So I started square dancing here, and then June persuaded me to join this group. It emphasizes for me coordination and memory, and I'm not so great at that anymore. But I know I'm not the only one who makes mistakes, and that's very reassuring in this group. Plus, it's a bunch of fun people.
Also June. However, I was fairly new when she approached me. I think she might have known I had some background in ballroom dance, which I had done for a couple of years, and I had done a couple of amateur competitions. And I was really quite new here. And as you all know, there's so little going on at Woodland Pond that when June finally offered me something, I said, well, how could I resist? And I agree with Margot. I think it's good for your balance. It's moving. It's another way to move, and moving in sync to steps. I think it offers a lot of nice benefits along with spending time with the group. So, there you go. Thank you.
Besides of my love of all kinds of dancing, English country dance is just an extension of this traditional folk, and it made sense to be part of a group. I love music, I love dance, I love singing, and this fit the bill. And June was very welcoming to us, all of us. What else? What else was the question? I like there's no complex footwork really, but you have to use your memory, which is good. And there's a lot of, we socialize and we have a couple of laughs, which is very healthy for everything. Thank you.
Well, I too love dancing and music. And when my daughter went off to college, I felt like, oh my gosh, I have to fill in this loss. And so I joined a group called the Step Sisters, where we did tap dancing. And I tap danced with them for a number of years. And then they got a lot more serious about making costumes and rehearsing, etc. And I just couldn't fit it into my schedule anymore. So then when I moved to Woodland Pond, I started out with Archie and square dancing. And then English dancing came up and I tried it and I thought it was wonderful.
I didn't give so much of my background, but as a small child in England, in a middle-class family, the little girls were all sent to dancing school. So from the age of 4, I did ballet and tap and so-called acrobatics. And it was very much a part of my life until I was about 9. And then I took it up again in my early teens, quite seriously. And then everything kind of dropped after that. And I didn't really dance again. I would occasionally go to a dance when I came to this country. Occasionally I went to international folk dancing. But in the mid 90s, when I was settled here up in New Paltz, I started going to the dancing at the church in Hyde Park. They did contra dancing. And around the same time, I was in the city working and came up here at weekends. In the middle of the week on Tuesdays, there's an English country dance group on 13th Street. It's still there. And I became enamored of English country dancing from about the mid 90s. And I started going to dance camps, and which is, intense dancing for at least a week. And as I say, it's continued with me. I love it. And I still try and get to these camps in the summer. And there was a monthly dance here in the Hudson Valley, which is still going. We meet the first Saturday of every month in Port Ewan, a nice church with a lovely wooden floor. And we have a live music group. We meet at 7 o'clock on the first Saturday of every month in Port Ewan. And there's a lesson from 7 to 7:30. And then we have live music from 7:30 till 10:30. And this is the sort of dances that we do. And as I say, it's been in my mind for years to try and get a group started here at Woodland Pond. And when it became clear that the square dancing, was a success, and we did find that the art studio was the only floor that wasn't carpeted in Woodland Pond. So we started meeting in the art studio. And then ultimately they bought this dance floor. And now that we've moved to the flex space, they set it up for us the second and fourth Wednesday of every month at 2:30. And in the new gymnasium, it will have a so-called sports floor that I gather is a nice surface on which to dance, as well as to play pickleball and do yoga and all the rest of that stuff.
So June, you were a doctor. Did you dance for your patients? The next question, maybe June, you could probably answer the best. This dance group at Woodland Pond, what exactly do you do? What do you do? Performances? Do you? What is your structure like?
We've basically been going about a year, more than a year. This is our first performance, actually. Come to tell, we get together just because we like doing it, and ultimately we are hoping in the spring, with the Dulcimer concert, we hope to do a little performance to several of the dances. And the Dulcimer group has three dances that they're practicing, and we're practicing. And come May or whenever the concert will be, you'll see the two interest groups combining together. And we're all very excited about that. We think it'll be good. And, maybe in the future, we'll do more performances. Maybe we'll go on the road. Who knows? But we're encouraging people to join us. This is temporary. It can be a little bit bigger. It's not really comfortable dancing on the carpet. That's why we have this. But once the new space is open, and we're hoping it'll be open by May, we can have like 25 people and it would be wonderful. So
Great.
What was the question again?
Well, just activities about the group. If you wanted to share any story about the group or anything that.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah.
You've seen us in action.
Yes, it is a fun group, and it does require you to think and to coordinate your movements.
But you don't have to memorize.
There's a caller.
To tell you what to do in advance of, of the actual movement. So there's not memorization, but there is just a feeling for the music and the dance and the flow. And all you touch is hands.
And eyes, you look at each other.
We all enjoy, I think we all enjoy just learning together and learning the different formations and sometimes laughing because somebody's going the wrong way, but we're laughing for fun we're having, and we help each other, right?
Is there more to say? I don't know. I mean, just to say that I do find it, although Ken says you don't have to memorize it, which is true, but you are using your memory to eventually those. At first, it could be a little confusing if you've never seen those steps, but after a while, so you're like listening and doing it over and over and making all the necessary mistakes. And then suddenly you're just doing it to the music and now you're having fun. So you're using your brain and you're, both the fun part too. So.
I have nothing to add.
Okay.
I've said it before. Any
Well,
questions?
I think we'll be seeing you on Broadway soon. I think that should be your goal. One last question, then we'll open it up to see if anyone in the audience has questions. Now, this question came from Carrie Kohler, who is our activities coordinator. And I just think it's a fun question for all the panels. She'll be in the panel that I'm interviewing next month, the activities staff. But I think it's a fun question. It doesn't have to be about the group, but can each of you tell an interesting story about you, an interesting personal story about you that you would like to share? Obviously not X-rated, a G-rated story about you that we might find fun to hear.
Well, I remember when I was about 5 years old, my grandfather came home with this little record player that some rich person in a building gave to him with 145, size record. And the record was Slaughter on 10th Avenue. I didn't know what it was, who wrote it, and I was dancing all over the dining room with it. But my family never had money to send me to dancing school or, those type of things. So later on, I learned that was Rodgers and Hart who composed the song, and Balanchine had choreographed it in one of his presentations of ballet. I think, and the second one is really funny. I had a very outstanding folk teacher, Olga Kulbitsky from Russia. She was internationally known. She wrote books, and she wanted perfection. And she was a delightful person, but she was very tall. She was almost 6 feet. Well, we had one day, it was testing day, and we all come in, and there's a pianist, and pianist said, to everybody, let us know what you're doing. So I said, no, the teacher has to pick the music. So then all of a sudden, this Olga goes to me, and this is my maiden name. She goes, Celentano, lead me in the tango. Oh, here I am, this tall person reaching up, in the tango, but it didn't. She says, you did very well. Okay, thank you. That was the two stories. They're funny. I thought they were funny.
Well, I guess I could tell the story about myself in teaching on military bases for so long. I learned very quickly that we send these young people off to war where they see things, they are asked to do things, and they come home and they are traumatized by what we've asked them to see and do and what's been done to them. And we're just shopping and watching television, just totally oblivious to it. So that was something that came to me very, very quickly. In particular, there was one young woman who came to me and said, she said, I never wanted to harm a child, she said. But there had been a child who had been injured, and she had come to their hospital, and they fixed her, and she went home. And then her mother strapped a bomb on her and sent her back to the hospital. And this young woman said, I had a 3-year-old at home that I promised I would come home to. That's all she said. But again, something very traumatic. And then I will say that from my studies in children's literature, I have learned that A really good picture book speaks not just to the child, but also to the adult that's reading it. There are really very strong messages in picture books. And I'm hoping to do a program at Shalom about Ezra Jack Keats. He wrote The Snowy Day, which was the first picture book that really centered on a Black child. And it turns out that he actually changed his name because he was Jewish. And after World War II, he could not get a job with his last name of Katz. So he changed it to Keats. And he wrote a lot of books about this character, Peter, who's in The Snowy Day. And they are about children who feel deprived or left out in some way and how they get recognized, as he felt he finally did as an author and illustrator. So those are two things from my background.
Well, I'll tell you about my one moment of not fame, but one that I think of as fame. I was in Atlanta in 1965 with the Medical Committee for Human Rights, and I was called to examine Dr. King's throat. He had a sore throat. So I examined Dr. King's throat and prescribed him some antibiotics.
Nice. Well, we like to leave, thank you, June. We like to leave a few minutes at the end in case anyone in the audience has any questions. So this is the time. And there's another mic at the end there that the panelists can use while I come around. You can just flip it on and it'll be on. Oh, someone had it. You did? Wayne?
June, how did you find these two people who are the experts?
Thank you.
Dancing with them for years. I don't know when we first crossed paths. At a dance camp, probably, because you were living upstate and I was in Brooklyn back in the 90s. Yeah, we probably met at Pinewoods or somewhere like that. It was a very famous dance camp in Massachusetts called Pinewoods. It just celebrated, this is my badge from last year, it celebrated 100 years of being a dance camp, which is amazing. And it's a wonderful place. And I suspect we met at Pinewoods at some time or other, but yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, so you're going to make me walk all the way to the other side.
What was the date of this particular song? The date?
This was in the
Yeah,
16. This was in the 1651 collection.
Okay.
So it was prior to 1651.
All right. So this make believe this dance you did was equal to the foxtrot. Did you have something equal to a rumba or faster music or something?
Yes. One of the reasons I love English country dancing is because it has so many different tempi and time signatures. So like, some of them are in 3/4 time, it's a waltz thing, and some of them 1, 2, 3, 4, and some are jumpy and some are very slow. So you get tremendous variety, and each dance has its own tune. So a specific dance is done to a specific piece of music. And there are recent dances too. There are still choreographers now who are designing new dances in the style, using the old steps, and even writing new tunes. And for example, the music is amazing. I mean, some of the music was by Purcell and O'Carolan, wonderful composers in the 16th and 17th century. So it's a tremendous variety. You just saw one little teeny type of dance that we do.
Anyone else?
I'm just sitting here watching you and imagining the dresses that you might have worn if you had been in that era.
Many communities hold an annual ball, an annual Playford ball, and there's some of the people really have costumes that are authentic, gorgeous costumes. So the New York Ball, I think, is in April, and I've been to many of them. I didn't dress in traditional costume, but many people do.
Are videos of those on
Yes.
YouTube?
Go to just Google or just go straight to YouTube, put in English country dancing. There are thousands and thousands of videos. We all looked at 3 different versions of Rufty Tufty to practice. And that's a good question. Just go to YouTube, plug in English country dancing. Huge selection.
Anyone else? See everybody. Okay, looks like.
Shall we play a couple more tunes?
What's your timing?
We've got 7 minutes if you'd like to do something for 7 minutes.
Challenges, what do you want to do?
Well, I'm just wondering, what are we, 1, 2, 3? With you, the 6 of us, we could do the Eastbourne Rover.
Yeah, I don't think we have 6 on 2, 4, 5.
If you dance.
Marilyn, are you? Well,
I think,
There's 6.
I wasn't counting Marilyn.
There's 6 there.
Lindsay uses a walker. She's not.
Yeah.
No, but if you done 1, 2, 3, 4, no, you still, there's 5 of us, right?
Does anyone want to try a little dance? So, this is a very famous dance. What's my cell?
Oh, okay, it's a bit complicated to, yeah, okay.
Cut some verses out or something. If you want to dance, come on up and we'll show you the ropes.
So just play the tunes of a few of them so they could hear the kind of music.
Okay, well, let's do some of it then.
Yeah. The one he's going to put on, now is one of the traditional dances. It was in the original books, the 1651 publication. And it's for as many as will. So that means it could be as many couples as happen to be in the room who want to dance. And traditionally, people end the evening playing Salinger's round. And we can, it's very similar in many ways to Rufty Tufty, but it's done in a circle formation. Yeah. But we don't really have enough people to do Salinger's. Yeah, just let them listen to the music, I think.
You mentioned that every dance has its own tune. When they start playing, when the band starts playing this, people just start dancing because they know what the dance is with this music. So this would be done with a big circle.
If you can pick out another one, number 2. And in the last round, everybody sings. See if you can get a waltz time one, just to show them the difference of tempi and different time signatures. It's very different. This is let's see 3 or 4 colors down. 3 colors at the person, person. Right. You see they're very different. Do we have? Now this one. Okay, this is handled from the water music, but a modern choreographer wrote steps to this tune. We've done this one. So come join us on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month.
Well, thank you, English country dancers. And thank you all for coming.